What on earth is this? This is an interesting keyboard. It's called the I guess it's pronounced IQUINIX. It's the 1+1. It's interesting in the fact that I genuinely like the way that it looks. I think it's different. There are some things I don't like about the way it looks. Like I don't like the big IQUINIX badge on the front. But I do like the overall aesthetic, and I like what it's supposed to be. So it's supposed to be a bit more modular in the future as they release more things. But it's 304. I think it's actually more than 349. I believe it's 360 something for the Bluetooth model, which I think is the, if you're going to buy something like this, it makes sense to get the Bluetooth PCB. The thing about that price point, and this is something that I've been kind of living by now with that price point. If you were to pick up something in the $350 to $400 range, it has to wow me, first of all, and it has to have stuff that doesn't come up on other keyboards. So right away, I was like, why does this cost this much? And then if you go to their website, I looked at the keyboard breakdown, I'm like, there's a lot of parts. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, there's a lot of things they had to CNC for this. That's not an excuse to the price at all, but I can see why it starts to get up there. And I believe it's something like there's 7 separate pieces. 7 pieces that they had to CNC. So, and this is kind of where my criticism is going to come in a little bit. That's fine if you want to do that. No one's going to stop you from designing a keyboard like that, right? However, you kind of have to know your market. And right now, I think the market's not quite at that let's spend a lot of money on keyboards thing right now. Unless it's, again, super different. But let's take a look at the board. I'll take a look at the accessories afterwards. This one here did come pre-assembled, but I'm going to be taking it apart, which is why I actually scheduled the stream for this. Again, I don't love this color, but man, there's some actual pretty colors on the website. Let's take a look. This board is very Murica. I don't understand this particular colorway. It kind of reminds me of Percent Studios, like Casio colorways a little bit, sorta. Let's peel this guy off too. The compact F-row is kind of odd. I do see a lot of micro scratches on the back of this weight. And this is the first time I'm opening this. I don't know if this has just been a review unit that's been kind of passed around a little bit. I don't know if you guys can even see that. I would have to, oh, maybe right there. There's like a bunch of micro scratches everywhere on it. The PVDing otherwise is good quality. It's okay quality, not the best I've seen. But yeah, there is some scratches there. I'm going to chalk it up to maybe this has been passed around because I do see some fingerprints. And again, I've never touched any of this part. Again, we'll chalk it up to it being a prototype. I would hate for this to, be in the final unit. One thing they did boast was they said this is like really quality CNCing and good quality ano or e-coats. It does look that way. Everything seems to be very consistent and very well done. Let's look past some of that stuff though, like the fingerprints that are, again, kind of look like you dipped them in ink or whatever. I'm not going to judge this on its pre-assembled unit. I'm assuming most people who would probably, if they had the market to buy this, they would probably swap things out themselves. I do like this. Again, I don't love the badge here. I don't understand why they put a badge with IQUINIX right in the front. They could have put this, their brand logo, like here on the back, hidden. They didn't need to put it here. I don't like branding on the top over here. So, yeah, the F-row is definitely different too. I don't hate that. I think layout's very preference-based. But if there's one thing I can say as, again, criticism, and this is even for like mode too, just so everyone doesn't think I'm like biased towards one thing. The tempo is also an HHKB or HHKB style. This is a different style layout. The Tempo might not do as well as the Envoy because of layout choices, right? And again, I'm not going to fault someone for making a layout choice. It's just a preference at the end of the day. I don't mind this. Would I use something like this? Maybe not, but I kind of like the style of it otherwise. Like, it is cool. I do like their other colors more on the website though. But how do we take this apart now? I do want to take this apart. Interesting side profile too. It's a fun looking keyboard. I just don't know what the market is for a keyboard at this price point like this. High key, I'm getting Bento out. We're gonna use Bento for today. I know for Bento though I am missing a stable, or what's it called? The space bar for it. So we'll use this color. Spacebar rattle is not quite there, which is nice. You know, a little underdone the stabs, but not terrible stock stabs, assuming this is how they all come. Yeah, the spacebar's a little, I don't know if it's the switch choice though. But I am going to take this all apart though, because I do want to see what's inside this. Another reason I want to take a look at this was I wanted to see how, because has IQUINIX done like a custom keyboard before that is meant to be geared towards the higher, I guess, spectrum of people who buy things? I think they've done like one thing, right? I'm curious to see how this is going to fare in terms of like how easy this is to put together. And this is a brand that's typically known to make, I guess, more affordable things. Oh, this is for... What on earth is this? Okay, just so you guys can see what I'm dealing with here. There are batteries here, a ribbon cable here as well. And then another bunch of screws. Do I have to take out these screws too? How do you guys feel about potential build issues with the board? Or not build issues. How do you guys feel about build processes like this? This is not take apart friendly, I'll tell you that. Feels like you're taking apart something you're not supposed to. It does, doesn't it? But I want to go inside the keyboard. Best part is no part. I see a lot of screws. Yeah, like the quality of this is fantastic. Gotta admit, like everything's like, even the inside's great. I wish IQUINIX would do way better with their own boards. I have an F97 and the only thing I can change is the switches. Yeah, you know, again, friendly advice. I have nothing against IQUINIX at all, or IQUINIX, whatever you pronounce it. I have nothing against them. The quality of this looks fantastic, like the Ano or whatever this is. I think this is an Ano. Looks great. However, I think making it more friendly to open and take apart and customize is something that I expect with the price point of $360-ish US dollars. And I like the concept of the board. And again, visually, I think it's kind of fun, but you know, when I'm being told basically that, yeah, it's not gonna be easy to take this apart, it kind of loses some of the appeal to me. So then you got this piece here. The build experience is a big selling point, IMOs. This may not be it for me. That's why Mode has killed it lately. Yeah. Fun. Again, potential to swap out things like badges and stuff. I really like the finish of this. It's like nice. It's solid. I'm going to take out some of this foam though. There is no flex cuts on the PCB though, so that's a good sign. I like that. Take out this guy. We'll take out that foam. I'll put this back together here though. I think I'm gonna leave the mid plate foam in. I might switch out some of the switches though, because I don't think these are the best for this build. Oh, and then there's a separate little daughter board over here, I guess, for the LEDs. Okay. And is that all in terms of pieces? Interesting. Very, very interesting. Let's put this back together. I mean, this is not end of the world level type difficult. I think okay, you know what would make me feel better about this? Truly? A more clever way to screw all these different pieces together instead of just sticking a whole bunch of screws on the back here. And then I think not including adhesive feet would also be very important as well. Just something a little bit more clever, that's all. Meanwhile, you can take apart the Cycle 7 in 5 seconds. Yeah, I agree there. You definitely can. So it makes that keyboard so interesting. It's just took a lot of different inspiration from boards. I'm kind of also getting kind of that vibe, but at least unlike I'm going to look at the bright side here, and I'm not saying this just to be nice, okay? On the bright side, I guess, I have seen pre-builds where uninstalling things in a pre-built is just horrendous. I think the most horrendous thing about this might be the adhesive feet. Sure, it has a lot of screws. Whatever. No, I totally get it, Draught. I like the idea of it being more modular. Really like that idea of it. But I think they need to do some tweaking to the overall board itself. Let's see, did I? See, that's cool. I like this. It's a cool concept. I really like the concept. Price is a little bit too high though. They could have done a few things, I feel, to reduce the price point. Removing that foam, I feel like this is already going to be way better without that foam in here. Let's find out, shall we? I'm going to try pink robins with these because I feel like a long pole switch would probably help. Yeah, I'm going to switch them all out for pink robins. Pre-lubed switches. Anything by the brand, well, by the menu called Affilion, I think is really good for pre-lubed. Like low-key, I kind of like the way this looks. I feel like it fits Bento very well. The blue's not 100% the same color, but not that noticeable. It does look pretty nice. Again, the branding here is just too much. This needs to be moved somewhere else. The overall aesthetic of the board's pretty neat though, I have to admit. Not a fan of the price point. Not a fan of how the keyboard gets put back together. That's like a typical PE foam sound. The layout I don't care for either. Like, it's not gonna bother me none. Oh yeah, I think the switches definitely made a big difference. Do you guys think this sounds overly PE foamy? I kind of think it's like a middle ground. No, there's no ping at all. No, you can't build it. I mean, not that I know of. You can't build it southpaw. Because I don't think you're able to flip this around because of the way the screws work on the back of this. Right? I think the only screws that are available to screw it in over here, that big cluster of screws is over here. It does sound a bit plasticky. I think the aluminum, if they offered an aluminum plate, which I don't think they do. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, the sound's not bad. The sound's not bad. It's an FR4 plate. However, I do want to play devil's advocate here, and I want to say that the PE foam sound, or using a foam sheet like that on just about any keyboard, you might be able to receive results like this. The keyboard does feel great though. Like, this is super soft to type on, and I really appreciate that. Bluetooth is nice. Having a dedicated, switch here on the back is quite nice, to be honest, instead of having to take off keycaps for that. That's pretty cool. Again, I think there's a lot of good quality of life things that probably already exist with IQUINIX's, I guess, brand. However, I think they're newer to creating something, again, I hate using this, but like high end. So they do fall short on in terms of customization, because I can already see these feet are starting to slip off, and I haven't even done much. So in case you guys missed it, you do have to take off the feet to access the board, and they're adhesive feet. I've used 2 other IQUINIX boards in the past. They've always been okay. I've never been thrilled about them, nor have I really been truly disappointed. This price point, though, a little tougher to say that I'm not disappointed at the price point. It doesn't. Okay, to keep it, I guess, very off the cuff here. I'm failing to understand why the keyboard needs to be this price. If the keyboard needs to be this price because there is so many elements you need to like CNC and aluminum and stuff, or aluminum and anodize, then I think rethinking the design to make a cheaper alternative to this would make more sense. But I think it's definitely very hard to recommend at almost $400. Let's call it what it is with shipping. It does get tough to recommend. Even if you love the way this looks, yeah. If this was a few years ago and they were charging $400, it might have been a little easier to be like, you know what? Sure. Like, this is a neat little board at $400, regardless of some of the issues. However, with today's market, everyone wants, especially with the economy and stuff, people want cheaper things. So it's just not completely ideal to say that this makes sense. Ooh, I kind of like that it's left the line now. It's pretty fun. Setting it down seems pretty rattly. Really? Sure, that's just not my cable? That's just my desk, I think. Yeah, it's just my desk. It's like the wires and stuff out of my desk. I mean, other than that, if this board interests you, I think it's going to be in group buy for a little while. But if you guys, again, want my opinion on it, it's hard to recommend this board at this price point. Peace out, everybody. Goodbye. Love ya. Definitely made a big difference.